see that? I'm supposed to learn music theory with that. That's complete nonsense. That is just... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You see it? Oh, wow. What scale was I using? Which key was I playing in? That's a question that I'm often asked, whether I'm playing by myself or playing over a backing track or playing with a band. That is oftentimes the question that guitar players ask themselves, and you probably shouldn't. Let's talk about that. Hi, my name is David Wallerman. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping guitar players around the world find their unique voice, develop that voice so that they can tell their own musical story on the instrument. And today we're going to talk about those tools that you use to bring out that voice. And that tool is not necessarily what you're thinking about. Most of the time when I'm talking guitar with students, at some point or another, they're talking about scales and asking me which scales should I learn. And also with that comes the question, what scale should I use over this chord progression? Something like this, for example. And the answer, although the answer can be given, I oftentimes don't really give the answer because of this. Let me show you something. When we are playing, when we're asked to play over something or play on our own, and if we have the guitar, and I've talked about this many times, if we have the guitar in our hands, we start thinking like a guitar player. And that's fine, we are guitar players, but before that, before the skill of the instrument, we are musicians, we are beings that want to communicate ideas. And as soon as you hold the guitar, you start thinking in terms of all the things that you have learned to say. And that's very limiting, because if you're only going off of the material that you've acquired in your practice session, even if you've been playing for 40, 50 years, you're going to be limited. And I found that there is an ongoing source of inspiration that we human beings have in our hearts. Those experiences that you have, the emotions that you have, all those things are growing. And if we can find a way to bring that out on the instrument, then the inspiration and the storytelling will be pretty much unlimited. So what does that have to do with scales? Well, most of the time, I think players rely on those scales, on the knowledge of the scales, in order to create their story. And the parallel is this. Before I'm talking to you, I don't write out my speech. I'm just talking to you, right? I'm not writing all the words. Now I can always go back and I can listen to what I just said and spell it out. S-P-E-L-L space I-T space O-U-T. I can go back, right? But I'm not starting with that. I'm not starting with the spelling out. So musically, what does it look like? It looks like this. It looks like I've got this chord that I'm hearing, and I need to play over this. All right, well, if I went the spelling out way, first, I would either ask the guitar player who's playing that, what are you playing? Or I would just listen. Find that out on the instrument. That's an E major. Here are the notes. That's an E, a B, an E, and so forth. And then I would try to compile in my mind a list of scales that would work over this. And all that is thought process. Now, yes, it gets quicker and quicker as you develop your skills as a musician, but it's always there. Wouldn't it be better if you were just able to speak out things or play things that just come to mind? And that's, I think, really that is the focus. Now, I will answer the question, which scale should you play over this? I'm going to give you some clues, and we'll study that a little further, but really want to stress the point that you shouldn't start with that. Because if you're starting with that, if I'm telling you, well, all right, if you figure out that this is A Dorian, in your mind, you're going to associate with A Dorian the A Dorian position that you've played before, that you learned, like whether it's the cage or the 3-note per string. And you're going to start to mentally, even if it's subconscious, you're going to start to mentally go through these shapes, these visual patterns, and try to go with the comfort zones, the things that you've learned, the licks that you've learned. And your music is going to be completely influenced by the things that you've worked on before. And the better route is to do this, and I feel that I'm repeating myself. I apologize if I am, but it's so important. I think it's the most important thing. This is what you should be doing. If you're hearing something, you are hearing it. In your mind, you might not be able to name it, but oftentimes we forget the step of listening. Okay, that's the feel that I have. I'm hearing some lower notes, some higher notes, some middle notes. All these notes are part of the information that you're gathering. And in your mind, the first thing you should do, even though it might slow you down as far as playing this, the first thing you should do is la da da, la da da, pa da bum. Learn how to speak out that idea that you want to express over this. I don't even know what that is, but my mind knows what will fit over this because I can just sing. Pa da bum, la da da. All right, let's talk about that just a little bit. What I just did here is hear something and respond to it. The source of the idea was already there. It's inside. I'm hearing it. That's my internal ear. It's almost like you have an inner musician that is acting as the genius composer inside of you. And I replicated that with my voice. How did I do that? Well, I did that because I've got so much experience using my mouth. That sounded completely wrong, but speaking, right? I got a lot of experience doing that. Since I'm a kid, that's what I do. That's what babies do. And most of us have that capacity because we use it so much. Now, when I'm singing, am I thinking, all right, I need 70% of air coming through my throat. I need my mouth that way. No, I just do it, right? And that can be done on the instrument. Now, because most of us come to the guitar as adults, the learning process is a little bit different. A baby just hears things and babbles and tries, but as adults we have those inherent fears of blah, 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 babbling, right? Like babies. So we have a more cerebral approach to this. And that's where your practice comes into the picture, but it should be focused on the end goal, which is la da da, what was it? La da 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 da. That should be the end goal. I don't know the notes, but that's the end goal. So how do you do this? Well, in the comfort of your own space. Don't do this at Guitar Center or in band practice, but do it this way. Just play a chord. Start with a chord. Start with a canvas. That's the musical canvas. So that's what I played. I'll give you if you want to do this home. I'm using the first 5 strings, and from the 5th string to the 1st, I have open, 5, 5, 3, open. All right, great chord. I just placed my fingers on the fretboard. It sounded like this. If it sounded something else, that's your starting point. But that's it. I just start singing something simple. La da da. Okay, ba ba ba. Fish around to find these notes. La. Most of the time what you sing is going to be part of that chord. So, la, 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 yeah, la, 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 ba, ba, ba. Multiple ways of playing that. Ba, 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 ba. Find a way that is comfortable to you. That's cool. Again, I don't know the skill. I don't really care. I just care that that's the way that I'm going to execute that sound. La, da, 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 da. So what does that mean? That means that I am aware of the muscles involved there. I'm aware of the fingers involved. I'm aware of the pressure put on the strings, all that, the area of the fretboard. And I played it this way. I'm on the 3rd string, frets 5, 7. Next string, 5, 5, 8, 7. That has a feel to it, right? You're feeling those muscles. It's very different than something like this. Different muscles involved. So that's what I have. All right. Now that you have that, you're associating ba-da-ba, da-da-da, na-na-na-na-na. You're associating that with those muscles over this chord. La-da-da, da-da-da. You're going to change the chord. Play another chord. Maybe we'll play an E major. La da 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 bum. Do you like this? La ta 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 ta. If you do, great. If you don't, see if you can change it around. What would you change? La. I don't like that. Ba. Over this chord. So I'm going to change it to the closest note available, either the note after or the note before. La. La, la, ba. I like the note before. La. So I had ma, ba, ba, da, 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 ba, ba, a little bit lower. Ba, 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 da, 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 da. Same exact notes except for the first note. Instead of la da 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 da, I have la ba 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 ba. That works. And slowly you're building different ideas in the same zone where you started from. And what happens all the time subconsciously is that you are mentally associating those movements with what you have in your mind. And if you do this 10 minutes a day, every time you pick up the guitar, before working on what was that? I don't know. Before working on all the licks and the technical things that you have, that will really strengthen that invisible thread between what you're thinking inside and what you're delivering. That's key to everything. Okay. Now, I told you that we would get into what scale should you use. Now, there are multiple ways, and the parallel, again, is you're speaking. Then you can go back to spelling out those words if you want to, if you need to communicate that to other players or explain what you're playing. So how do you do this? Well, there are actually a lot of different methods, but it all comes down to matching intervals, the notes that you're playing, with the chords, extracted from the chords you're playing, and you're matching those to scales that you've heard of before or that you've studied before. And even if you don't know the name of the scale, as long as you can spell it out, that's the important thing. So let's go back to our idea here. We had something like this. That thing ba, 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 da, 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 was played over this. La, da, 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 da. What you're playing here is attracted to that. So these notes have their meaning, their life, according to what they're played in the back. They can have different meanings. If I was to play this in the back, la, da, 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 the value of these notes would be different than if I play them over, la, da, 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 da. So we're going to take the lowest note that we have, which in this case is A, and we're going to ask ourselves, what is this first note? According to this, intervals, right? That's what we're studying here. Well, this is a minor third. Then we have a fourth, a fifth, minor seventh, sixth. How do I know that? Well, because I know my intervals, and you can too. There's a free link below where you can download a sheet with all the intervals. Now, that sheet might not make sense yet, but it will soon, because I'll follow up with some emails explaining to you how to use it. But that's basically what we have. We have minor third, fourth, fifth, minor seventh, sixth. All right, these notes, if I reorganize them in order of appearance, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mentally, what I'm going to do is dig through all the scales that I've learned and see if it matches, if I find a match. And I do. So what scale have I studied in my personal practice has that minor third, fourth, fifth, major sixth, minor seventh? Dorian. The Dorian mode, the Dorian scale, the Dorian key, yes, technically those are not the same things, but it doesn't matter. Let's just call it key, scale. They kind of have the same function, the same use to me, I think. So that's Dorian. That means this chord right here can be played in an A Dorian context. And if you know other chords, other licks, other ideas that can match that Dorian thing, then you can add them to this. And so forth. But that's how you can develop your sense of theory and harmony and all that, just by matching the elements. Now it all has to do with intervals. Now you might ask, what if I have a lot of chords? Well, it works the same way. You just have to take one chord at a time, extract from each of the chords that you have all the notes, use a piece of paper, write them down, and then decide what is your tonal center, what is attracting all the chords, what is the bass that is going to work, attract everything else, what is the one. And if your one differs from my one, in the end it doesn't matter, because you're going to have the same notes to play with, the same scale, and you will be able to communicate ideas. Anyways, if more importantly, if the idea comes from inside, it's always going to work, right? Like we said before. But that's how it works. So if we have something like a G, a C, and a D, I would take all the notes of that G. So I've got G, B, D, G, and so forth, and put them on paper. Do the same with the C chord, the D chord, reorganize them in alphabetical order, and decide what is the one here. Typically, it's going to be the first chord that you're playing. That G is going to attract everything else. So you're in G something, and in this case, you'd be in G Ionian. But even if you don't know the name, it all has to do with intervals. All that to say, if you take anything from this video, it's that knowing which key you're in doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't, as long as the idea comes from inside. Your main focus should be to sing and replicate what you sing. Even if you don't sing out loud, sing in your head, and that really will help. If you watch all my videos, that's kind of the common thread in all the videos here. I think it's so important. And a quick story, a few years back, I asked my buddy Daryl Gable to improvise a solo over a backing track for the website, guitarplayback.com, and he did. And he probably doesn't remember this, but I will always remember his solo was really, really cool, really incredible. And we got to talk about it, and I can't remember why it came up, but he said, I don't know what key I'm in. And I was like, that's strange. Like, Daryl is very, very knowledgeable. And I started to think about it, and really, it's not that he couldn't go back and know what scale he was in. It just meant that he didn't use that knowledge to play. It was inside. Ba-da-ba, da-da-da, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. What he was playing was a lot more interesting than ba-da-ba, da-da-da. But that's how he does it too. And you can always go back, but don't start with the key. Start with that melodic idea or that thing that you have in your head. And then you can explain it, but don't start with the scale. That's my suggestion for you. Visit the link below and check it out. It's called the Music Theory DNA course, if you haven't taken it already. A lot of you have, but it's a free email course that gets into intervals and just kind of re-explain what I just said here in a different way. And if you have any question on this, let me know in the comment section below. And if this is your first visit, consider subscribing. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, a new video comes out helping guitar players. Someone is calling me. Maybe it's Daryl saying, hey, I knew the key. I don't know if you can hear that ring. Anyways, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, a new video. Subscribe if you like this and download the sheet below. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you very soon. Practice well.